It is also Veterans Day, Armistice Day. On this day, World War I, the armistice for World War I was signed at 11/11, on 11/11, November 11th at 11:11 a.m. And today, just, my wife and I, Louise and I, on this day in 1971, were married on 11/11 at 11:11 a.m. And no, it wasn't a coincidence. It was intentional. So, Louise, happy anniversary. So, all that said, Adam McKay is with us. He is the writer-director of The Big Short, Anchorman, Talladega Nights, Step Brothers, other guys. He's with represent.us. Represent Us. You can tweet him at Ghost Panther or at represent.us, D-O-T-U-S. Adam McKay. Hey, Adam, welcome back to the program. It's been a while.
Hey, thanks. Thanks for having me back, and happy anniversary.
Thank you. Thank you. There's, a little, as I previewed a little later on the program, I want to get into the kind of down and dirty and what do we do and all this kind of stuff. But there were actually a number of good things that happened. And I'm not just talking about California legalizing pot in this last election. And much of it had to do with anti-corruption initiatives nationwide. And that's what you're working with now. My understanding is, tell us about this, with represent.us.
Yeah, Represent Us is an incredible group. What's most exciting about them is they're bipartisan. It's not right-wing or left-wing. What they discovered is that Republicans and Democrats both do not want dirty money in our democracy. And they're run by really smart, sharp, passionate people. And this was the year where, despite a lot of confounding, disappointing, and upsetting results in this election, they had a tremendous amount of success with anti-corruption initiatives, the biggest one being in South Dakota, which before Represent Us helped get this on their ballot, was one of the least regulated states when it came to money. And this
money in politics.
Sweeping anti-corruption initiative they got for money in politics, exactly, is really kind of unprecedented and a huge victory for all people in America.
Yeah, and what there were a few others too. I mean, there were quite a few others. Multnomah County, Portland, Oregon, actually passed a clean money bill.
That's right. San Francisco too had a big one that was really exciting.
Right. Rhode Island, Benton County, Oregon, Missouri. Tell us about Missouri.
Missouri, a local one there as well. For disclosure, for regulating gifts from lobbyists. Yeah. I mean, it's as hard as it is for people to imagine. In a lot of places in America, lobbyists can just give secret gifts to our elected representatives to influence them, and there were no laws in a lot of cases against this. So this is exciting. I mean, let's face it. One of the big parts, the big engine that drove this election, and that has really driven the last 40 or 50 years. And you mentioned the book Dark Money, which is an incredible book that really documents this, is money in politics. That's really what changed our democracy. And bent and skewed everything. So, yeah, Represent Us, really a really exciting organization that I've sort of gone all in on because I'm also tired of having the right-left argument, and they do a great job of bridging that divide.
Right. And my, as a lefty, my guess is when you do the polling of people on, just right across the board, all Americans, do you think gay people should have equal rights? Do you think that women should have the right for abortion? Do you think that there should be separation of church and state? Do you think we should end our drug war? Do you think every health care should be a right? Do you think that Citizens United was wrongly decided? Do you think that there should be more infrastructure? Do you think that, I could go through the list. I got about 50 things on this list. And on every single one of those things, more than 50% of Americans, and typically more than 50% of Republicans say, yes, I'm with you. And in fact, you could even argue that much of what Trump was pitching, I mean, particularly his trade thing, Republicans, every single trade deal that has passed Congress ever has been passed through Congress with a majority Republican support in both the House and Senate and remote majority Democratic opposition. And this guy just got elected president on a Democratic position. So I would say that there's a lot of progressives out there, or a lot of people who don't even realize they're progressives. And you say this is nonpartisan. That's great. But I think that the effect of cleaning up the money out of our politics will be that the true nature of this country will then begin to shine through, and we'll start seeing America becoming a more progressive place. Does that make sense to you?
I think people don't realize how powerful the science of advertising and marketing and focus grouping is. I think that, they always say good advertising is advertising where you don't know you've been manipulated. And I think what happens is, you're right. I think people have certain fundamental beliefs, but these ads and these talking points and there's a lot of money and a lot of time put into these things to really sway people and get them upset and to really fog their clear thinking. And it's a $60 billion a year industry in America, advertising, and that is not by accident.
Yeah, absolutely. And so how did you learn about Represent Us, and how can the average person, how can anybody who's listening to the program right now get involved?
I got in touch with Josh Silver, who's one of the heads of Represent Us, through mutual friends, because they knew I cared about getting dirty money out of politics. And then I ended up joining the board. Some other friends of mine also got very involved. You can check them out on their website, just representus.org. They have a Twitter page. You can go to any of these places. They'll explain their whole method, how they're doing it. It's based a lot on the idea of how legalizing marijuana and gay marriage started on a statewide basis. That seems to be the way this works. Our federal government's too overrun with money to get this kind of stuff through. And once again, it was a tough election for a lot of people, but this was good news. This was a flicker of good news.
Yeah. You said representus.org. I thought it was represent.us.
I'm probably wrong. Thank you, Thom.
No, well, let me just double check this while we're on right now, because I thought I had checked this. represent.us. And let's see if that gets us there. It does. You made history. South Dakota passed America's first statewide. Yeah, represent.us.
Thanks so much, actually. Yeah. I'm never great at remembering web addresses.
Me neither. That's why I had to look it up again. And I should have done it before I got out of the air, but just to double check. Okay, Adam, you're doing God's work. You're doing great stuff, and I hope you're going to continue making brilliant movies. The Big Short, I think, was one of the most not only great movie making, but really important education for the American people.
Thank you so much, Thom. And I love your show. I'm a regular listener and everything you do, so keep at it.
Thanks so much, Adam. Adam McKay, writer-director with The Big Short and others. The website, represent.us, as in represent us. Please, represent us. Adam, have a great day. Thank you so much again.
All right, you too. Bye, Thom.
Okay.